So an argument is defined as any well-supported or well-reasoned assertion about the world as it is or what it should be. Every good speech, and even beyond speaking, but even like just writing you do for other classes, anything you prepare, either in additional work for your scholarly career or also in your professional career as well, any writing, any speaking in a kind of formal setting should have a clear argument to it. So remember our broad assertion that every single speech is persuasive. By this, we really mean that in every speaking situation, you're trying to make an argument, convince the audience of something, either to adopt a certain policy, adopt a certain change, to believe that a certain topic is important, to persuade your audience that a certain person is praiseworthy, for instance. Every single speech should have one overarching clear argument to it, and that's going to be articulated in your thesis statement. In that broad argument, you're going to have several kind of smaller arguments that build to it and help support that. So you have these big arguments and kind of these smaller arguments as well. Regardless of the scope, though, every argument should have three main elements: the claim, the evidence, and the analysis. So the claim is going to be whatever assertion it is you're making. It is this statement. It is kind of whatever the broad argument is. But on its own, that's not going to be convincing enough. You also need evidence. That's going to be your facts, your backing, anything that's going to support that claim and help strengthen it, the reasons that you want to make that claim. And then finally, you have analysis. Analysis is the piece that ties together the claim and the evidence. It explains why that evidence supports your claim. Why does this fact that you're bringing up, why does that prove the point that you're trying to make? This shows that blah, 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 blah. And so the relationship of these three parts of an argument comes together in what we call the argument triangle. Pretty straightforward. It just means that in order to have a strong argument, every argument needs to have these pieces to it. If you any single one of them, the entire argument will kind of fall apart from there. So this argument triangle applies to not just kind of the overarching big argument of the entire speech, but also all those sub-arguments that kind of build into that. And so an important thing to remember is that in your speech, yes, there's that one big central claim that you're trying to make, but then each of those main points should be a sub-argument building into it. So in your textbook, there's this diagram which kind of describes that relationship where you have that broad argument, you're making that big central claim, and then each of those sub-arguments becomes the evidence and analysis for that. So you have a big argument and then these kind of smaller sub-arguments within there. But in every single one of those arguments, you can turn to that argument triangle, the claim, the evidence, and the analysis to make sure you have all three components that are necessary in order to make a strong claim and convincing argument.